Why'd you cut it, Jason? That was a hard cut.
Hey, I'm not running the show here. I can't stand your hard fades.
I know, dude. I got to fix that. It's actually only does it on this one. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rodeo Roundtable Thursday night. Always glad to be here and have fun. In fact, I maybe had a little too much fun before the show, but
why don't you share share it in here? You want to share the link?
Won't all of us get in trouble?
I don't know. Oh, that's right. Let me disconnect and then you can share it.
No. It's not. That's not happening. Don't worry about it. So, Kim Side Money Plans. What's up? Gig Work Mama, how you doing?
I'm good.
Jason, Gig Economy Podcast. What's up?
I'm good. Ready to rock.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to build on a couple things. Maybe I was just trying to break the ice because these are like when I was just. I mean, I've got some articles too that we can go through, but when I was just spitballing these topics, this is like a whole week of like not good stuff. I mean, this is all pretty bad. And I want to build a little bit on what Kim was talking about on Tuesday, because she was talking about, or should I let you kind of bring us up to speed with that so that I can build on that a little bit?
I talked a lot about a lot of stuff on Tuesday.
I'm referring specifically to illegal accounts. And your market, what you've seen, what you've noticed.
There's a lot that I've seen. My biggest, I was honestly on Tuesday night, I was just talking, I want to say real, and having a real conversation of what's been happening with Doordash and also my area. And I said, as a content creator, I feel like I take some of the blame. And the stuff that we actually see, and we actually do. So, when my channel started, like one of my top videos of all times is dashing in New Jersey. So, I was very open to what I was doing, where I was going, and like fast forward to today, where do a lot of these illegal accounts and these groups, they go to YouTube, they go to Reddit, they go to Facebook groups and find the best areas to dash in, and they're flooding markets. So I took a lot of blame because my old market now, because I said because of this. And I had a very specific incident happen to me, which I can go into if you want the full story. But because of that, I now work in 4 other different zones. Like I've learned completely different areas that I don't tell anybody where I go. I don't tell anybody any of the restaurants. I now blur everything out. Like even when I do ride-alongs or I do lives, like I put my camera down low, or I put my camera so no one can see any marketable stuff that they would recognize, just to protect me, first of all, as a content creator, because I don't need negativity happening to me and people approaching me, which was happening. So yeah, that's kind of, my old market, I should say, just got completely out of control. And, I'll take some of the blame for that, but it's a lot of these illegal accounts. I mean, just, a couple weeks ago, I decided to go back and just like, okay, it's raining outside. I don't want to really travel anywhere. And there were like 15 drivers standing around one car, just shooting the shit, just waiting for their orders. And it's literally, I have 50 to probably 100 just in like my 5 or 6 block radius of these drivers that have flooded my market. And that's what it's come down to.
Yeah. On top of all that, one thing that I found actually pretty disturbing, and I know this happens to other people. I know this happened to Pedro and other people, and you bump into people and they recognize you from YouTube potentially. But I found it really scary that you had somebody that couldn't speak English at all come up to you and shove their phone in your face, kind of demanding through Google Translate that you tell them all the places you go. So clearly they found your channel. Clearly they had kind of blueprinted everything you've said. Now they're demanding that you, where are all these locations? Give me all this information. They're doing it through Google Translate.
Yeah, it was through a translator app. The scary thing is, in this, like, I was waiting in my normal, like, area. We all have our own spots that wait for orders, and I hear my car doors are locked. I always lock them, but I hear knocking on my window of my passenger door, and someone's, like, knocking on my window, and I'm like, "Who is this person knocking on my—" So I put down the window just, like, a little bit, and, like, "Hello?" He has my YouTube channel up, and he's just like, and I'm like, like, I don't even know what to do. So then he pulls out the translator app and, like, speaks and, like, starts asking me questions about, where I sit and where I go and what restaurants he should sit at. And, like, it became like, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, like, I didn't want to be rude because kindness is always free. But at the same time, I'm like, no, dude, I'm not giving you all of my valuable information and how I make my money. Like, and he was just, and now he's just one of the many drivers that are transcending in my market because they were looking for this information. I mean, there was one time I walked into just a pizza place, and I know this pizza place, and I walk in and, like, "Hi, how are you?" We're talking, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be 5 more minutes." I step back, there's a driver right next to me, and he is on his phone, he's texting, and I look over, and they said, "She has arrived." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, it's, and I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm not even working in that area anymore because I know, like, if I was part of the like, I'll admit I was probably part of the problem with my videos and my ride alongs and being open and honest and, kindness. So, I mean, I guess kindness get taken advantage of.
I mean,
No more.
it's just, to me, it's just beyond scary. I mean, I've had my para hat on. I've had people comment, "Oh, para," and I'm like, yeah, totally. I've had conversations with people, things that spar them or whatever. I can obviously recognize another fellow driver doing what I'm doing and have been able to always. But like me, I'm in a migrant city. Kim is very close to a migrant city that is so overloaded. They're willing to drive an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to get to markets that aren't as bad as New York City. And so, I mean, I don't know. To me, this goes way beyond somebody recognizing you and even having a conversation about, like, hey, I mean, like, if somebody just ran into you and said, "Hey, like, I was caught your video and I was curious about one thing," and had a specific question, that's one thing. But, like, for somebody to be, like, basically handing you pen and paper and say, "Draw your market out for me, damn it." I mean, that's kind of creepy even. Like, I got to say,
that's
like,
scary.
But what I've learned is a lot of these drivers have no bounds, right? They're determined, at least in my opinion, and I'm never going to stop in anybody's way of making my money. We're all out here hustling. We're all out here to make money legally. I think that's the thing, legally.
yeah.
But I learned my own way, but, like, they're very determined. Like, even walking into a restaurant, they'll plow through drivers just to get to the front, to get to the order, to get out of the restaurant so they can move on to the next order. Very determined people, don't get me wrong. So I don't think they honestly know any boundaries of what socially is acceptable. But, in my area, it's New York drivers, are transcending into like, it's all New York license plates. It's all Pennsylvania license plates. Like, it's so many drivers from, like, out of states that it's something I've never seen before in my years of doing this.
Yeah. I mean, and then we all know this is happening. I live in a migrant city. I'm watching it happen, especially on the primary apps. I've seen things relating to taxes. People getting a little, like, I've never used Doordash. I've seen those articles popping up. I've never used Doordash. Why was my social and my driver's license used this year, and why was there $15,000-$20,000 made on my account? I never used it.
No.
So, I mean, if these people are starting to pop up, which we kind of should have figured, not everybody's selling their accounts. Some people are probably just having, they had their data stolen and their fake accounts being created from it. No shocker there. But So here's a story though that I was picking up on, and we all can, I think, we all can relate to this one big time, because even if you're not in a migrant city and you're hearing these tales, and we've heard them for a while now. So this is a person who came into the country illegally. He's from Turkey. And he was saying how the process is just too long. So he basically he was optimizing this window of time that we are in right now, where there's a lawless border, and he came over and he paid the cartel $6,500 to drop him at the border. They took him to the end of a hiking trail with a bunch of other people. This is where they dropped them off. And now his plan is already in place. He has a phone and he has a DoorDash account set up in Santa Monica for him, where he will now be dashing. Not him, not his account, not legal. But this is very common. This kind of relates to what Kim just told us. So a guy like this comes into the country. He finds Kim's channel. He's on YouTube. Sees the area, okay. So, I don't know. To me, in so many ways, I'm not saying not anything about the people crossing illegally, but there's even a thing in here that says that this guy's saying because he needs to do DoorDash for 3 months because he needs 180 days to wait for the work authorization, even in a legal status. And I got to say, you don't have a legal status yet. You crossed illegally. You're not on the book. So your 180 days hasn't started.
I think, and I have nothing to prove this by, but I have my own theory that even if they get deactivated from an account, there's another account that they can get on. Like there's so many illegal accounts that they don't even care whether they get deactivated or their account gets found out. They have another account waiting for them to be activated on. Like it's a vicious cycle of accounts that are just cycling through, that it doesn't even faze them to, cancel an order, whatever it's going to take, like what people get, deactivated for, they're just going to go onto another account.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's scary. When I heard you telling that tale, I was totally relating to it. But when I heard you tell that one portion of it, I started thinking, see, this is way too far.
Well, it's also because she's a woman. I'm not being sexist or anything, but like no.
But at the same time, wouldn't you be creeped out too, Jason? Some dude even comes up and through Google Translate is saying, "Give me the blueprint of your city. I've been watching your channel."
Well, first I would be flattered because I was famous enough for someone to recognize me, and then I would tell him to shut the fuck up. I'm not saying you should have been flattered, kid. I'm just saying I'm not that popular
yet. So you literally would be like, "Hey man, thanks for noticing me," with the backhand all in one sentence.
No, I don't know. I can't relate to all the immigrant stuff. We don't have that. I'm sure we do, but not like to the scale that you all are talking about. Yeah. I just can't believe that they can come up with so many fake accounts and that you can sell.
You can buy them on Facebook for $100.
Well, wasn't it during when this was all like when it was starting to happen? Steve, didn't I share with you a video? Like I took a video of my own market and I said I'm going to drive 2 blocks. And how many cars did I count? I counted 10 cars in a 2-block radius, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Now it doesn't matter. It's if you go Kim's direction towards Boston, wherever you go in that area of New York City, it's just there's so many people doing it that of course they're leaving the city. There's no money to be made there, so they're moving to other cities.
Wouldn't it solve the problem if every time, which would be annoying, I'm not saying it wouldn't be, that every time you signed on to any of those apps, you had to verify with your driver's license or...
But they don't want to they don't want to catch them.
Well, this is the funny thing. So last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, they did the verification on DoorDash. So I've had to do the verification now once a month. So it's more than just the once a year I was getting. So I want to say it was like last Thursday or it was one of those days. Anyway, that night I decided to work in the area I used to work in, bad weather, and there were no drivers to be found. They were all gone. All gone.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. I literally went up and down, all the streets that I knew that like they hang out with. And amazingly, none of them were around on it was a Thursday night on a Thursday night.
Thursday.
But they were back the next day.
Yeah. I mean, I know DoorDash doesn't want to, but there will be some class action lawsuit at some point down the road because they're not preventing this from happening. So
yeah.
I
thought was interesting though, this time around, they made me scan my driver's license again.
Yeah, see, that's how you get them.
Yeah. But see, that's the point.
That's a good one.
That goes to the Walmart Spark thing too. I don't think either of the platforms care. I really don't. I don't think they care anymore. They're glad that they don't have to use a robo-taxi and that somebody's taking the damn dollar order.
Right?
Yeah.
They're just happy about that. They're like, sweet, dude, I don't care. Don't ever check that person. Because I've said this many times. I get facial recognition on DoorDash all the time. See, but I don't use it like Kim and stuff and other people. So when I do, maybe it's because it's inconsistent, but it makes me mad when I have to because I'm like, I know for a fact, accounts you need to check and you're not checking them.
No, whenever I see it, I do a happy dance because of what I saw that night that I actually got it. I actually do a happy dance. So I wish they would honestly do it once a day in my area. I think it would make, honestly, will it solve everything? No. But will it pause them from working? Yep.
It would help a lot.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, if any of you guys in the chat are relating to this or live in areas where this is happening, I see it every day. So it's a little different for me. Like I was watching, Terry had a live today going, Terry's Tips, Tricks, and Talk. She's here in Denver as well. And she pulled up into Home Depot and she's like, oh, look, watch this. And there's like 50 of them right there just jumping out in her car. And I'm not talking like the old days of people wanting work. This is the new, and the one by my house is even worse. I mean, they're just everywhere out there. Don't speak any English at all. Looking for any work at all.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to be like,
I wouldn't leave my car. I'm not trying to be mean, but I wouldn't leave my car at Home Depot right now.
Well, I'm just saying, like, just because they don't speak English doesn't mean, you know what I mean, that they're illegal aliens. No. You know what I mean? So
that's why I clarified to say, like, before we were migrant city, because we do have that status now. People are aware of this.
Yeah.
It's not a, I'm not being mean. I'm just being honest. But before we had that, there might be 3-4 people out there looking for some work, but not 40, 50 every day by the lines.
What determines when you guys become like a migrant city? Is it like how?
I mean,
because it's not every state that's having this issue.
We've bust over 60,000 here in the last 8 months. So I mean, if that does, that's a lot. That?
Like, who decides? Okay, this city is going to become a migrant city versus this one is not.
So, like when Texas needed to get rid of all the people illegally crossing, they look for governors to work in partnership with. Otherwise, they have just tried, like Governor Abbott from Texas has just tried busing up some other places and going, you deal with them. But he has found people, and sadly, he's found coordination here in Colorado that now we're trying to get out of. Like, dude, stop doing that. Even the people who made the agreement with him are ending up being like, yo, stop busing up the people. And to get really technical and a little evil here, to be honest, there's money involved in all this.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My point being, are you not selling people?
I don't know.
In that right?
I mean, you don't want them where you are. You're making a trade for monetary value to get them the hell out of your state and put them somewhere else. By the thousands. I mean, to me, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to say, it's like, it's definitely not slavery, but what is it? I mean, it's wrong. Some of these people are getting bussed up to like winter places. They've never seen snow in their life.
Yeah, I saw Hannibal did a report in New York, and he was
right. And that's like New York. Think if you got shipped to like North Dakota. I mean, it's snow in the summer up there. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, you don't even know how to deal with this. And the other thing about migrant cities too is you start dedicating areas. So like we have some migrant tent villages here in Denver that are just beyond extremely huge. And also like they, it just gets into some real issues because we have a homeless problem here that's pretty bad. So you get into a real conflict there on how the city doesn't help the homeless at all, but some of the migrants have credit cards.
Yeah.
And they're being issued them. And so the homeless are going, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such, I'm not saying I have the solution. I don't. Really, I don't. But whatever's going on all levels is wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're here in Denver, you know what I'm saying, and you can you're right there with me. We don't have to agree on anything else. We don't have to agree on politics and none of that stuff. If you're here in Denver, you get it. We're feeling it right now. And I'm not just talking about gig jobs being taken away. I'm talking about driving down the street. You see them, you see all the situations going on everywhere.
Yeah, it's tough because when it first happened, God, I forget. I think it was right after summer because I came out of like the summer rush by me. And then like all of a sudden, like it's something that stands out, at least in my area, it stands out because you see all these out of state plates. Like you see like, and it's all the same car, by the way. I'm not going to say what car it is, but it's all the same car. And they all drive the same car. And it's very strange, but like all of a sudden I started seeing all these New York license plates in my area and all like Pennsylvania. I'm like, what the heck? And then I started noticing they were drivers because they were going in and out of restaurants. And the next thing I know, like you're observant when you don't have orders, right? You sit and you watch and see what's going on. And there was one day, like one guy was driving a gray car, and the next day he was driving a black car, but one day he was driving New York plates, the next day he was driving Pennsylvania plates. Like I'm like, what the heck? It's like I couldn't figure it out
because they're keeping the cars going in cycles.
Yeah.
So like you're like, is he a twin? And then you're like, no, but
it's basically like he drives 8 hours, somebody else drives 8 hours, somebody else drives 8 hours, but it's not perfectly timed. So the one car isn't back yet, so he's moving into the other car.
So crazy.
Like it might be a system of 9 people, 3 cars.
But the funny thing is, like I live in a small town.
But there's no work in New York City because they've overrode it so much.
I'm not even close. Like I mean, I'm an hour and 20 minutes from New York City, so like they still have to drive a pretty decent distance. But I'm like, why my area? Like to me it was so random. And then I just started, stuff started happening and I'm like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot.
But at the same time, I would guess, Kim, you could that's what I was kind of saying. You can go to yours or to other towns that far distance from New York City all the way around the scope. And it's not just going to be you. It's going to be all those cities are being attacked.
Yeah.
I see Jersey Man's in here and he's saying that I saw that a second ago, he was saying something about seeing a lot of Pennsylvania and New York plates. I'm guessing because he's been around for a while, I'm guessing that, and we all know him, I'm guessing that he's talking about that didn't used to be the case. Obviously, that's the comparison he's making there. Or at least that it's a lot more because otherwise he wouldn't have made that comment. I don't know. If you're near one of these true migrant cities, you get it. And I guess my whole thing that now becomes, what some of the topics were here today. I was talking on the podcast this week, I had Terry on and we were talking about, is the LOP gone? She hands down said, yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I've had many people tell me it's gone. I mean, Kim and I talked to Abdul at Display Ride about a year ago, wasn't it? About when we were telling him about when he was really telling us about telematics and we were pitching that about the school idea, right? That this would be great for school-aged kids and stuff. Well, Doordash has entered telematics now. And we don't even need to wait for legislation. Every state in this country now DoorDash has broken the terms of independent contractors. In the other ones, it's questionable, but you can't keep tabs on how people are driving. You can't do it.
Well, not without their permission.
No, exactly.
Even the TOS checkbox, though, we know that the judges are getting pissed off by those. They're done. They're like, these are getting ridiculous, you guys. You cannot be saying, hey, we own your firstborn kid by checking this box. Like, enough. You can't just say check this. And I don't think it's just gig economy stuff. It's everything that's turning into these agreements. Like, you agree to sell, we're going to sell everything that you own. Okay.
I think the worst term of service, if you get deactivated, they keep your money, the money that you've earned. I think that's the biggest scam out there.
On all jokes put aside, let's talk about the LOP program just for a little bit. I'm not going to say whether it's gone, not gone, but my personal opinion, I think customers who order, and this is what I've seen, is they got tired of ordering from the Doordash platform because of the service they're receiving on these hundreds of dollars worth of orders. And I think, honestly, they got fed up. I mean, I talked to one restaurant this past week that I know really well, know on a personal level, and she was saying they stopped using them because the driver would always arrive late, or if they weren't ready exactly on time, they would just cancel it, and they'd be a cycle of drivers, and then they would have to eat up the $20 late fee costs from Easy Cater from dispensing it through DoorDash. So they just stopped using it altogether. I mean, the other week I used to have faithfully every single Tuesday a faithful customer. I knew what restaurant to sit at because I knew he would get his order. It was the same price every single week. Stopped. And I'm like, oh, maybe another driver is getting it. And then I did a delivered, and it was the same customer. So I don't think that they are trusting, in my opinion, I don't think they're trusting the DoorDash platform with hundreds of dollars worth of food if they're not getting what they're paying for, if that makes any sense.
It totally does. I mean,
I don't think it's every order, but
it's the perfect storm with DoorDash right now. I mean, all the apps are suffering a bit, but I feel like they're in like one of the worst. Yes, they're where Cheyenne is. They're in Canada too. But even like she said, they're barely there or whatever, like, but they're not elsewhere. I mean, what is it? Just Takeaway or Just Eat or whatever that now one owns the other and is an affiliation over in Europe and whatnot. But nonetheless, there isn't DoorDash globally like Uber Eats. And I mean, they're just from all directions, the volume's down. They're adding money onto the customer's bill. I was reading on this Seattle Pay Up. I've got it opened up on what they're actually doing there. And it's ridiculous. I mean, they say that the order volume there is just blown up. It's gone. Like nobody's ordering food anymore. So what does it, the point is, what does it even matter? And so they're actually trying to repeal the entire legislation in Seattle, the pay up model. They don't even want it anymore.
Yeah.
Doesn't
just
work.
Real quick. The delivery carries that because the scummy people steal food and ruin it for the good drivers. Can you imagine these people stealing large orders, $200, $300 worth of food?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I can't. I'm to be honest, I think there's enough of a buzz. I mean, if the Tony Hsu interview with the rideshare guy was even anywhere correct with his numbers, and I know he said active, but I think he meant of all time. When he, when it was it was over 10 million people in the United States have dashed, I think is what he meant. I don't think he means currently dash. I think he means have dashed. Well, that's 170 million are the American workforce, even including independent contractors and freelancers and self-employed. So, and W-2. So, I mean, so 1 out of every 17 people who work in this country have dashed. I mean, that's the math, guys. It's not hard to do. And I guess we all have, but at the same time, I find that really crazy.
Yeah, kind of hard to believe.
My point being too, if they have dashed, and a lot of them don't anymore because doesn't have the monetary value it once did. They're very familiar. They've probably told their friends. People are getting alerted. People are getting turned on to these fees. I mean, since we're on it, I'll just bring it up here real quick that these fees are ridiculous. Like in Minneapolis, listen to this. I had a couple just to share with you guys so that we kind of had an idea of what they're doing with these menu items. But so
tonight, for just real quick, for the heck of it, this isn't DoorDash, this is Uber Eats. They were running one of their promos, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use it and go pick it up because I hate doing delivery nowadays. And I'm like, oh, I'll go pick it up. Well, the promo didn't apply to the pickups. It was only delivery. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just order it on my own. But for pickup, ready for this? For pickup, they did a service fee of $6.99 for a pickup.
What's the service fee covering?
I have absolutely no idea.
Somebody to hold the door for Kim when she got there or something. I don't know.
Not even.
I was baffled because it went from like $25.
You're paying to use their platform.
And
You're paying to process it through their credit card processor that charges them 20 cents.
Yeah, it was $6.99.
And they're charging you $7. That's normal business, isn't it?
$6.99 is a lot.
If I still have it up.
No, I was kidding. I think it's ridiculous. But here's what's going on in Seattle, just so you guys know. On January 13th of this year, that's when it went into effect for non-rideshare drivers, but for delivery drivers as well. 74 cents per mile and 44 cents per minute, and a $5 minimum order on everything. According to that, minimum wage becomes $26.40 instead of Seattle's $19.97. However, you can't get the full hour. We know how this goes. DoorDash is throttling people in Seattle less or more than even in New York City. So they're lucky if they're getting around 40% active time on an hour. So therefore, what did this all do for them? Nothing. What did it do to the customers? The customers are now paying just ridiculous amounts of money. They have to pay a $5 necessary cost fee. That's the line item. And it's called necessary cost of doing business in Seattle. That's the line item fee.
Necessary cost of doing business in Seattle?
Now, mind you, they're charging a $5 line item to people who are getting the delivery in Seattle that says that. Again, Sergio brought this up a long time ago with the rideshare stuff in Prop 22. They're actually making $1 on that and still paying the regulatory fees. But let's even make it worse. We also know they upcharge items on the menu in like Gary's state of Florida. Gary Middleton sent us that article last week that said that they were going to make it so that all of the items had to be same on all the menus. Well, that's not the case in Seattle right now. Here's an example. So this is somebody's comparison. They ordered from Grillbird, directly through Grillbird, an order of food. $54. They ordered it the next afternoon, not at prime time, none of that, which shouldn't matter anyway. Same thing on the DoorDash app the next afternoon, $85 pre-tip instead of $54. Now get this. That restaurant we were talking about, Spice Walla, very popular there. If you go into Spice Walla, you can get a chicken, one of their chicken rolls, and it's $9. If you get it on DoorDash, it's $19.
Jeez.
Whoa.
That's ridiculous.
For the one item.
That is whoa.
Now, how much is that money going to the restaurant though? Because I
don't think dude, I honestly think they get the order money, and that's how DoorDash always has offset it. They've said, listen, you don't have to pay us any fees because we'll collect it on upcharging the menu.
Oh, so
I thought it was the restaurant that upcharged to compensate for the fee that they have to pay.
That's what I thought too.
Well, that's to the
because I know
that's what I'm saying. That's the fee, I guess.
That's what I thought.
But it's the restaurant doing it. It's not DoorDash.
Right. Well, right. Yeah. But it's either you can pay us this amount of money, and they've already kind of got it metrically worked out for you. Here's where your items would be priced at, and you won't have to pay us anything.
Oh, yeah. I see. I see. Okay.
And all the restaurants choose that route.
Oh, interesting. I know originally it was the restaurants, at least like when Uber Eats started and stuff like that. Maybe when DoorDash did start, but they probably play the game of which is a better deal.
I mean, dude, to know though that in this place, Spice Walla, for those that are not in Seattle, I'm not either. It does do its own delivery, so it can deliver you that chicken roll for $9. But you can get it through DoorDash for $19. So if you want 5 of them, you can pay $100, or you can pay under $50 and just go in or get it directly from them.
The thing is, though, people are still using the app. It's not slowed down at all.
Well, but in Seattle it has.
Well, maybe, yeah. I'm just saying
the volume's way down, dude. People, in fact, this article goes on to say that that's why they're repealing the decision, because people are deleting the apps. They're just not using it. It doesn't even matter what areas, they're just not using it.
Man, that sucks for the drivers too.
The thing,
yeah, because this was supposed to benefit them. This is what happens when you.
But remember, not everyone voted for that. Like that's.
Oh, I know. The council members don't want it anymore.
Yeah,
and a lot of them did vote for it. So.
The thing that I wonder though, for the large orders, right? So Kim was saying, the restaurants, they're going away from DoorDash, but these catering companies, are they offering some type of promos to like entice the restaurants to come towards them? So maybe that's also another reason why they're going away from DoorDash and Uber Eats to go to the catering programs?
From what I know, and I talked to another restaurant the other day that I do catering with, they actually pay Easy Cater a little bit more, like a bigger fee or whatever, to promote their restaurant like above all the other restaurants. So they actually get more business. So I think it's like the old, marketing, you pay money to get money back. So I think they're dishing out a lot more money up front to get the payback from getting more catering orders. So, I don't think they offer promos. I just think they offer like packages that make it work for the companies.
Makes sense. Get some marketing in there.
Yeah. And I know everybody joining in the chat, I know we're way far into tonight, and I thank you everybody for joining us. I'm sorry I didn't go through name by name there. I like to do it in the beginning before too many of you are in here, but now there's a lot in here. So thank you everybody for joining us.
Just real quick, because I think Thomas makes a very valid point, because we've talked about this before. Illegals can't do shop and delivers. That's where lots of money is, especially on DoorDash. They can't get the red card.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, why can't they get the red card?
Because it's not their
account. Another account.
It's not even their name.
So how are they?
No, but that account. Wait. No, but that account can get the red card, and then they just swap the red card.
A lot of those people, I don't think people
don't even know how to use the app to shop.
Yeah, I mean that's number one, but number two, I don't think a lot of these people are people like me going, "Oh, I've got a DoorDash account. I'll just sell it to this guy." I don't think that's what's really happening. I think that they're being stolen from like people who haven't dashed in like 6 months, and their account just hasn't been used.
But why wouldn't they be able to get a red card though?
No, my point is, I think they're getting I think somebody's hacking those accounts and getting them sold. They don't really even know it's being sold.
So that could only really work for like a year until when it's tax time. And oh no, because
that's what's happening right now.
Well, yeah.
But again, they're not doing anything about it. I mean, they're not cracking down on any. They're facial recognition me and Kim. They don't care about the illegal accounts. And I'm going to be honest. Of course, it's an algorithm, but they know who the illegal accounts are. At least some of them. Sure, they do.
And this
they're the ones that take
every
order. They take every order. So what do they care?
This is my honest opinion. And this goes for Spark. It goes for DoorDash. It goes for any one of these companies who allow this to happen. They're getting orders delivered because they're taking every single order, and they honestly don't care because orders are getting delivered. They're making money on the back end because orders are getting delivered. So as long as the orders are getting delivered, honestly, they're never going to do anything about it. That's my opinion.
But do you see this issue on Uber?
No, I don't know. I don't think any of us do enough Uber Eats to know.
Oh yeah, that's true. You guys don't do a lot of it. That's true.
I mean, there's just no orders. Maybe it is. I don't know.
But again, I just think all these companies know.
I think they care a little more. I don't know.
Well, it's because the verification, like it's a different process. Like when you start up your day, you have to do some type of verification. And then, after 3 declines or whatever, they'll kick you off. You got to go back on. Sometimes you have to take a picture. Sometimes you don't. So it's like, you never really know, right? So maybe that's why they don't attempt to go on to Uber.
All of these companies, Uber, DoorDash, Spark, they all have social media platforms, markets, whatever you want to call departments. And their job is to comb through social media to see what's going on with their company If I would be naive to think that DoorDash hasn't looked at any one of our contents. They've looked at some of our videos. They know what's going on. I mean, especially some of the ones
then when
they
they're
get,
watching this,
you
why
know,
aren't they checking people right now?
Thank you. Exactly. But honestly, you know, you think of some of the not just me, you know, some of the biggest content creators out there have made like huge videos on the Walmart scam, on the, you know, door. Like there's so many things that we made videos on. They know what's going on. Just go to Reddit. You know what's going on.
I mean, Gigan has.
I'm sure they know what's going on. They
about
don't
the
care.
the red card is digital now too. You can have that as well. But again, I think it goes to the point of I don't think that the person X who has the legal account knows that person Y who's using it is using it, even if they are involved in the transaction of their account being rented out. I don't think they know the end user using it.
But here's the thing: how are they able to get the money? Then they put their own bank
Just
account
change your bank account, yeah.
But so you're just saying they can't get the card because they can't change the mailing address? Like, why wouldn't they be able to change?
How many people have we heard on all these YouTube channels, on all these Facebook groups, on all these Reddits? I got scammed because I went to go pick up 3 packets of ketchup and they told me to cancel the order, and I gave them all of my information and they got into my account. Like, they're scamming so many different ways, and there's so many different ways to get an account. I mean, for a while for Spark, they were the people, they were going to customers' house and asking for a driver's license to verify that this was the order. They were taking pictures of their driver's license to create accounts.
No.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I would do that. Wow.
I mean, Spark is, we were talking about that too. Spark is no better. And by the way, Dashing Grandpa is going to talk about a subject I had on here tonight after this, because we're definitely not going to get to it, but he specifically is going to be talking about this Spark offering money back that they stole from drivers. If you guys didn't hear about that, they sent out an email to all Spark people. Do I even have, I don't think I have it here, but wait, maybe I do. But they basically sent out an email that, I don't know, Kim, did you get it? Did you guys all get it?
What was it?
I'm not on Spark, so I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what the email even is?
Oh, I have the picture right here. I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
As part of our continued efforts to improve the Spark driver platform experience, we've identified some trips where you may not have collected and issued tips customers meant for you due to a system issue.
Maybe because I haven't worked. Maybe because I haven't worked Spark in like months. Maybe that's why I didn't get it. I didn't get any tips.
But I guess they're combing back through there, and people are owed tips. Who and how much, nobody knows. But
yeah,
they're going to get in. I think
class action suit waiting to happen. Like how?
Well, they're trying to fix
like that's
it
just admitting that you just.
Happens.
I know, right?
They're like, we're sorry. I'm sorry.
DoorDash got sued for stealing tips twice. 2 times they got caught. And both times it was literally, I'm sorry. And they hired attorneys, tried to fight it to a level, and then they were like, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, we didn't mean to do that.
Well, clearly it worked.
Was it Bud Soda that just said earlier that Delivered got accused for stealing tips? He doesn't believe it, but it's something circulating.
I think everybody accuses. Yeah, I've heard the Delivered thing before too. I'm not really. I think we had the Delivered CEO on the podcast, and we asked him, and he explained that whole system, and how maybe it was misinterpreted, but it wasn't stealing. I know. I see Tim in here, GigWise, and I know a lot of people in here have experience with that platform, but I mean, even I know Delivered, but like Tim has a lot. He might be able to kind of better say how they explained the tip debacle, because I don't really remember it. I just remember the CEO, and we had the CSO about a month before that on, both from Delivered, and they both kind of had they were aware. They're like, oh, the tip thing, hold on, let me explain all this. And I don't know, I think people have a way of I think there was a way that you could have a tip in there, and it was like tip baiting. You could pull it out or something, and sometimes that was done. And I don't know. I don't want to misquote it, but basically when he explained it, it made sense to me. And everybody can come out of the woodwork and say that every app is stealing because DoorDash has been caught doing it. So I mean, clearly, anybody can make anybody sound bad.
Oh,
because
for sure.
because the other apps are so bad that it's not far-fetched to believe that if somebody's like, hey, did you hear DoorDash steals? All of a sudden everybody's gonna believe that because somebody mentioned it when really there might be no justification behind it at all.
Yeah.
So to me, that's it, and, you know, unless you got receipts, I'm not really buying into that stuff.
Well, no, Thomas, like, okay, so Thomas says the migrants also can't get on catering apps background checks, but there are background checks with all these other apps. Are they like that much harder to get onto for the catering
if they're using
apps
someone
versus
else's account,
yeah,
exactly.
it's not their account anyway.
So
yeah, so
like,
if they can get on the other ones, they can get on the
I think with the other ones,
okay, don't give them any ideas there, guys.
No, but I'm just
saying.
Go back to
what are you doing?
Go back to what Kim was saying though, too, though. Like, and honestly, like, this isn't just you know, this is real. Is that on other apps they would get caught very quickly. You can't be in that. You can't not speak a language and shove a phone in a B2B's place on Roadie or even Roadie, but Curry, any of those, you're done. I mean, the red card, maybe it's not just about how do you get it. It's about they're afraid to have it. For some reason, that red card and running it face to face, that interface makes them think they're committing a crime where they don't think they are, like this guy who just got here and all these other people who already have accounts lined up. Like, for some reason, they don't think that's a crime, but they definitely, for some reason, with the card and transacting with somebody face to face, I think that's a problem for them because the language barrier isn't even bad. It's gone.
But not only that, a lot of these catering apps, they expect high levels of customer service. Man, you don't do a customer service, right? I mean, I've never experienced it, but I would assume they'd be like, nope, sorry, you're gone. Like, I have another driver waiting.
I mean, that's the scariest part to me, is that any of the four of us and any of you watching in live chat could be gone at any minute for no reason at all. For no reason at all. I mean, look at Marco. I think Marco's a perfect example, to be honest. Marco has 22,000 plus dashes. He's done over 22,000 dashes. And he got deactivated on a day he didn't work.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And he was deactivated for 3 months. And then out of nowhere, after all his fighting, going through the red tape, everything was clean, legit. He's going, what the? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, after he had given up the fight, he was reactivated out of nowhere. Here you go.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Sorry about that. Like, what the hell, dude? You know, I mean, that's a 22,000 plus dasher. That's not just a veteran. That's somebody you want on your team.
I think Gigan has it right. There are a crap ton of gig apps out there besides the big 3 food delivery apps. Amen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in fact, I mean, we tell people this all the time. You're going to make more money on the other ones. Yeah, you might have to piecemeal them together. You might have to start multi-apping on a bigger level than you have. But if you want to make the most money and you're really outdoing this, you're not just sitting on DoorDash. And I don't care if you're a top dasher. I don't care if you're 100%er. Right now, you can't just be sitting on DoorDash. You're not gonna make enough to anywhere near what you have in the past.
Yeah, for the majority of people, it's not going to happen.
I just mean the tips are even gone. People are coming out of the pandemic. We've talked about this before. They can't afford the service anymore. They don't even know that. The only thing they have the control to pull is the tip.
Well, people are tip exhausted now. I saw this meme where it was a cop and he was like, now there's going to be a new tip your cop whenever I stop you for a ticket. And there was like a tablet that said like ticket price XYZ, tip 5%, 10%. Like everyone's talking about tips now. So I think people are just tired of tipping as well.
And
yeah, they can't afford it, but
I don't know. Maybe I don't disagree with you, JJ Green. However, I'm just being honest, man. I mean, there aren't customers watching this going, I can't afford the service.
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
I'm with Lou. If they can't afford it, don't order, because then you're gonna put the 0 tips. You're gonna put the $1 tips. Like,
exactly.
Don't.
I mean, if that means the volume goes down, that's why there's caps coming into markets. That's why they're not going to let as many people roll out. And that makes sense to me. You should be doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, other apps have their own ways of doing that. Curry, it's a long onboarding system for a lot of people, and this and that and the other. I prefer that. I'm still on the Amazon Flex wait list. Jason's been doing it forever.
2 years.
You know?
It ain't that great.
But I'm just pointing out, like, there's a reason for that wait list.
I don't know.
It's so that the people who
They
are on
opened up
Flex
an
can
Amazon
actually work
warehouse
it.
that I
though.
can't even get on.
Right. My point is that even if like the pay isn't that great, like Jason's alluding to, or whatever he's saying, it's still, you can get some gigs on Flex though.
Yeah, for sure. I could work every day.
Right. That's my point. There you go. I'd much rather have it so that I can get gigs than you've been onboarded, but there's a lot of migrants, so you're never going to get an order. Okay, well, great. I mean, like, I don't need the app if it's not going to do anything.
Right.
You know, I'd much rather it be paced and say and I've been saying this too, like, what would be so wrong with it saying if you are trying to dash now, your market's full right now. There's no need for you. Check back later.
Yeah.
That's what, that's what we used to do in the bar industry, ebb and flow. And when somebody was needed, be like, hey man, can you come on down? Or have somebody that's supposed to be on at 9 calls in, hey, come in at 10. You can come in an hour late because it's kind of dead right now. Like, why wouldn't you be more on, like, not, I mean, I get you're not going to be fully honest. I get you can't be fully transparent, but you can't even like make sure there's not 3,000 too many DoorDashers on the road.
I don't understand, to be honest with you. And to your point, I get the flow of, the peaks and valleys of orders, but to the point where you're oversaturating that drivers can't make money, like, that's an issue. Like, why is DoorDash allowing so many drivers flooding a market to the point where drivers are making money?
Well, it's the same.
Even
it's the
if
same
you
point.
influx at that point.
Sorry, your internet was cutting out there, but
No, go ahead. Sorry.
It's the same point that the companies don't care. They'll flood the market because as long as that order gets delivered, they don't care if their illegals are doing it or whatnot, in my opinion. But
right, but I mean, at a certain level, wouldn't you think like, okay, we've got 300% what we need. Stop letting people dash now. Like,
I mean, they kind
even
of
that's
do.
too much. I mean, even that's like ridiculous. So it's
in the last 9 months they've changed that. I used to be able to dash pretty much anytime it was busy. Now and they would give me a couple hours. Now it's like they give me like these 45-minute blocks, and then they're like, okay.
well, okay, then
You're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Then we'll use Uber Eats then for the thing, because Uber Eats doesn't do that, and they let everybody on, and that's why none of us see orders.
I see orders on Uber Eats.
I mean, I do too. All the ones I see though are very long for very low pay.
I mean, it's definitely less than DoorDash, but I do some Uber Eats with the DoorDash at times.
You said doo-doo.
I knew you.
Yeah, I heard that too. I was like,
so immature.
You are in like a very weird headspace today.
Yeah, look out.
I'm just saying.
You see over here, Skip actually stops you. So like if you're not on shift, so if you don't have a schedule, then even if you put yourself as available, if they don't need you, that screen is not turning green for you to be able to go on. So it's
for
like,
Uber
I rather that for Skip.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, no, Uber lets you go on.
Yeah,
but it's busy here. So
right. Right. But I mean, like when you turn Uber Eats on, is it, I guess it is a lot different than here. Cause I always forget that when you say that that's the market leader and that DoorDash is the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Uber Eats is just kind of outweighing that, because I don't know. I showed Gary, maybe I was trying to tell Kim earlier in the week. I don't remember if I tried to tell Kim or not, but I was contacted through the Dumpling app by a restaurant in the Highlands that has a delivery guy. But I thought they were looking for a single order that was going outside of their delivery zone because of the way they approached me in the Dumpling shopper app. So I had never added food delivery. So I had to text Holly because Holly does a ton of dumpling, has for a while. And so I texted her and said, Holly, what do I do with this? And she's like, oh, and she sent me the screenshot. She's like, just add restaurant. You can just put it through right there. And then they can, whatever, they'll authorize the card. You can go do whatever you want to do. They were looking for me to do like weekend deliveries out of the delivery area for them so that they can get rid of DoorDash.
Really?
Did
This
you
is
ask
the
how much?
restaurant. Well, no,
I know, right?
I'm gonna talk to him. Yeah. Why wouldn't I talk to him?
I
That's
would.
why I
I'd
have
be
my
like,
dumpling.
so how much? Like, if it's worth
Yeah.
I
it.
would totally wonder.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might not even be me, but I know delivery drivers right where this place is. Highlands is about 15 minutes from me, but I know people who live right in the Highlands. So I'm definitely going to go have a conversation with this person. We've already been communicating through the dumpling. I mean, for them to go to the dumpling app and they had heard something about Dumpling Resort and they were like, maybe we can like go this way. I mean, this is where restaurants are at. They don't want to work with these companies anymore either. Customers are up to speed. The restaurants hate these platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us know that a lot of restaurants rely on these platforms, but they hate them.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they like them just because they rely on them.
They hate them. They hate them. Tim's talking
They're
about
just
something
like,
about
they have to work with them or else, financially they're going to get a hit, but they don't like working with them.
Well, see, and that's what's weird about this restaurant that approached me, because I'm being careful like Kim. Of course, I'm not going to say the name or anything stupid. But they approached me because they do a good enough business that they don't have to have DoorDash. They do like the extra delivery money, but they're wondering, can't this be done in a more in a way that's definitely more in line with our pricing model? And I think they saw on Dumpling Resort, they went to Dumpling, and Dumpling now promotes Dumpling Resort over everything else. But when they went there, they saw fixed prices, all menu items, all in-store prices. Like, you're paying for what their prices are plus a processing fee. It's very straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fixed every time. They use their menu prices. They're like, this is what, because again, they do delivery. How can you do delivery when you have a $9 chicken roll that DoorDash sells for $19?
Well, I don't get about DoorDash, right? So they used to being the key word, you used to have catering bag required. You had to have a catering bag in order to do some of these large orders, but yet you have a bypass button that you just have to hit, I don't have my bag, and you can continue on with the delivery. So they have all these bypasses. I mean, the other day it was like a PIN number, and you had to, get the PIN number from the customer who was handed to me, but you can bypass that too. It's like every process they have in place to prevent stuff from happening, they also have a bypass button. So what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you?
I mean, I see that it's funny that Holly, I see it was 8:01. She says, hey, I think she missed it. I was just talking about you, Holly.
Yeah, she came in right after you finished talking about her.
I think your ears were ringing. But I see Bud Soda saying this too, that he's been pushing for that way, for that only way they'll let me. I was trying to understand this, but. So yeah, you're talking about the franchise agreement with DoorDash. They can, any restaurant can get out of that in a heartbeat. That's not a big thing. Even if they signed year-long, absolutely. Those contracts.
Like, let's say you own a McDonald's.
All you need to do is have a lawyer and you can get out of it. Just a lawyer's letter will get you out of it.
I don't know about McDonald's. They got.
I don't know about McDonald's.
Of course not. Of course not. But I'm not trying to nag McDonald's on my dumpling account.
I don't think anyone would want to be.
I'm talking about these
good luck with that one.
Places before the pandemic did amazing, are very well known for their locations, and you have people within a delivery zone paying what you would pay if you go in, and then if you live just outside that delivery zone, you're paying 19 instead of 9. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden this becomes so, like, it just doesn't work for them anymore. They don't want to do this.
Makes sense.
And I get,
because at the end of the day, it's also their customers, right? Their customers are getting like the short end of the stick, so they don't want.
I mean, if they have to go through DoorDash, they're paying tons more.
But I can't tell you how many times I even talk to merchants, and they're so over drivers just stealing the orders and then losing out on money because it comes out of their pocket opposed to anybody else's pocket. So they're honestly, a lot of them are tired of dealing with all the theft that's been happening just based off of drivers saying they come get the order and then cancel the order, and then the customer never gets the order.
Yeah, there's certain restaurants I go to that make me start the order before I leave.
Yeah.
And I never give him shit about it. I'm like, I get it, man. You're tired. In my head, I'm like, you're tired of getting burned, so I'm happy to do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Cheyenne, you had we can maybe, I guess I was just looking at the time. Do we have time to roll out this one? I think we can fit in that story. Do we have time?
We could, but there's a question there about telemetrics.
Oh, where is
New
it?
Jersey man.
Steve, did you get? First of all, I don't do DoorDash enough to know, but I do know that yes, we did, because Tony, the driven dad, had it Tuesday.
Oh,
He didn't have it Monday. He had it Tuesday. So it is. I mean, if it hasn't got to your market, expect it this week. And tomorrow's Friday. I do know that. Yes, expect it tomorrow.
Can you explain what it is, please? Because maybe not everyone in the chat knows what.
So basically, you're getting a driver score every time you drive. It's saying, hey, you're braking or accelerating too much, and it's gauging you on this. And I guess one of my things that I've been talking about in some videos is it says it will not be used against you. Bullshit. And I don't want to relate it back to the migrant situation, but they're selling off your telematics data at about 8 times the price of normal data. People pay huge for this. Insurance companies, car companies, even like car manufacturers, they even want to know, how hard are these people braking? What's good? They want these numbers. But I think that, we know that every market's beyond oversaturated. Mark my words that this telematics will be a major catapult before legislation to offboard a lot of people.
But why?
They'll just say you're driving crappy, or
they
won't explain.
Have they driven in New Jersey lately? I'm just saying.
So if you guys all know Tommy, thank you for sending that to me. Tommy sent me some screenshots of what it looks like, because I have not seen it yet, had not seen it. And so I've seen it now. And it's weird too, because like he sent me one that was green, one that was red, one said negative. It has like negative braking score. And like, how are you? Even when I was looking at it, it's pretty simple, but I was like, how do you read this? What is this?
Yeah. It broke, I think, I want to say it was in the summer. They started testing it in a couple of markets. And I know everybody was in the uproar because they're like, what is this? Like, and it was a whole like invasion of privacy thing. And like, my thing is, I'm like, they're just selling it off. They're selling off all the information. It's a total breach of privacy. And then I guess they're getting more money because they rolled it out to many more markets. I think, what was it? What did you have it last week, Steve?
200 plus as of Wednesday. And then it got rolled out to more. I mean, so that's why I'm saying by the end of the week, expect it in every city. If not by the end of the month, it's going to be everywhere.
Well, Eric,
but I think it's even going to be before then. Yeah, again, like Kim mentioned, it was in a few markets in January, February. They rolled it out again to like a very few, but then last week was the big one. On Wednesday, they put it out to 200 plus cities. And I had a lot of people comment on the video I made about it, saying that, yeah, it just rolled out for me. It rolled out for me. Yeah, it's everywhere. But they can't, again, guys, they can't be doing this. We're independent contractors. This one breaks the law in every of the 50 states.
Well, Uber does the same thing, though.
What do you mean?
They give you driver score, or they let you know if you're braking too hard or driving too fast.
I heard Lyft did. I've never heard from anybody that Uber.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a regular, like you get it every day, but if they find that you've been speeding and or driving like an asshole, they will send a asshole.
Really?
Reminder. Yeah.
Really?
I've never had anybody tell me that about Uber. I've had them tell me about
once
Lyft.
a month.
Lyft and DoorDash are the two I know who are doing it.
Mm-hmm. Rideshare.
Well, according to Johan, I only use DoorDash from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. when none of the legal accounts are out. They love to sleep in his market.
I mean, that's sad. We're laughing, but that's.
Well, he does say, and it's not a joke.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that. To be honest, like we do flex our time around things, and now migrants are an issue. I mean, you got to work around them now.
Yeah, mine are out at like 6 or 7 o'clock every morning, and they go until like 9 or 10 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. Like they're literally
that's a full day.
nonstop. Mm.
And you said they're not even from your area. So that means they're driving like an hour to an hour and a half to get into your area. And then the same thing at the end. Oof.
We'll see.
I don't
We'll
know what
see
they're
if we
sleeping,
can.
but
Yeah, I don't, and that's the
I
other
think
thing.
this is
I
also
honestly
why it
believe they
doesn't
run
work.
24 hours a day. I don't think that there's a single person running these cars. They run all the time.
But I think this is also why it doesn't work with Uber, because Uber, you have that 12 hours that you can drive, and then they cap you, they shut you off. So it's like they wouldn't use Uber for that because they're like, oh, 12 hours, like we're gonna have to like switch accounts every time.
Me just switch apps.
I think they just say, hey, here you go. And they just hand it to their brother or their cousin or whoever they're with and say, here you go. You go drive now. None of them are matching the damn picture anyway.
No, but it's on the account. It's not on the verification. So like that account would be out of commission after 12 hours. They would need more Uber
I see what you're saying. Well, maybe they run Uber and then they run Doordash and Instacart. And I don't know. Maybe they've got all these are very systematic from what I can tell. They do things the same every week. So whatever patterns they have, they're much different than like us, how we pick our areas when we're working and whatnot. They've got these running 24/7.
That's so crazy.
These are like well-oiled machines that know exactly where to be. I see people sleeping out in front of my bagel shop and things that are some of the good like places you can nab off some orders sometimes. And they go sleep right in front of them in their cars.
Wow.
I mean, it has gotten that bad. So I'm just saying, but I did want you to at least mention that, because we talked about that lawsuit a while ago. So, and we can do it real quickly here. I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about, and then just in a couple minutes, what happened in Minneapolis, literally like 2 minutes, because it's kind of a joke, but what isn't a joke is what Cheyenne looked into.
So we could talk about the lawsuit real quick, and then I'll tie it into something else that they're doing automated for their female customers. So there's an Uber sex assault group that's suing to block the Nevada bid to cap all contingency fees for 20%. So right now, Nevada's trying to put in, some kind of ballot or whatever, where anyone that is suing, let's say Uber, but it's not just Uber. There's like a long list of other, you could say, areas or whatever, that the lawyers would be capped at 20%. So what that means is, let's say you go to a lawyer and you're like, you know what, I was sexually assaulted by an Uber driver. Would you please take my case? Now all lawyers, if this goes through, would know that they can only get 20% of whatever it is that you're going to get. So the reason why they're fighting it is because they're saying a lot of lawyers won't even want to take the case now because of the fact that they know they're only getting 20%. Versus, 33% in one other state and another state has it at 50. So they're saying, okay, we understand that you want to cap it, but why so low as 20%?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because I can tell you what I think. But I think they're doing it just like you said. I think they're doing it because so no lawyer touches it.
Exactly. So if no lawyer is going to touch it, then nothing is going to be brought forward. And if it happens, it happens. Figure it out, deal with it yourself kind of thing. I don't know. It's just
the sexual assault cases, by the way, guys, have gotten out of control, out of control. They're now batching them together. I mean, they're trying to do that in California too. So
that's really crazy. And then another thing that so on the other end, Uber is now bringing in some new safety features for their female passengers, not for the drivers, for the passengers. And it's going to be things like encrypted audio recordings, a PIN verification. So let's say there's going to be a PIN on, I go into an Uber, there's going to be a PIN on my phone, and then the driver would have a PIN and they would have to confirm that it's the right one. Live location sharing with friends and family. There's also something that they're thinking of putting in called Ride Check, which it's going to detect if the ride ends early or stops unexpectedly, or if it's supposed to go, let's say, this way, and now your driver goes this way, well, then they're going to be alerted that, you're kind of going off course. So,
which we've seen 100 million times. It never works. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It just doesn't, though. Like we've seen them do all this. It doesn't do anything. But the what I wanted to say real quick is we've talked about the Minneapolis thing. So as we wrap it up here tonight, guys, we've talked about the Minneapolis thing. Here we were. There was 2 meetings left. There was one on the 21st. There was one on today. And at today's meeting in Minneapolis, what did they decide? Now, Lyft has countered. Lyft said they'd meet them halfway. We talked about this last week. This is for rideshare in Minneapolis. For those of you who weren't with us last week or who aren't following this, they have to pay almost double what they're paying is the new city ordinance. But they're revisiting the amount, and they've pushed the date to July 1st.
I'm surprised.
My point being, like, we've all been saying, well, let's see a city do it. Let's see it. Come on, do it.
Yeah, I know. That we've been talking about that in my show too. It's like, come on, just fucking do it.
Yeah,
just rip it. Just do it.
Yeah, like a Band-Aid.
Like a Band-Aid. Just do
every
it.
Every time this happens, we see them do nothing. I mean, all they're doing is showing Uber how strong they are. That's it, in my opinion. Until you actually do something, you're not doing anything.
Well,
because you're actually making more of a problem because you're proving to these companies, hey, we'll leave. Okay, well then we'll move it to July 1st. Oh, cool. We'll leave on July 1st then.
Right.
I mean, that's all that changed with Uber. They just said, well, then we'll just leave on July 1st. Sweet. If you want to push it back after that, then we'll leave on the next day.
Well, I'm assuming they're pushing it back so they can have more conversations and someone can pay them, I'm sure.
Right. But Lyft came in with that offer last week and offered them half as much as they were asking for. And they said, we're not negotiating. This is where it gets a little weird to me. Like, why did you say that? Why did you say we're not negotiating? And yet now everybody's getting involved and saying, we need to push this back.
Well,
why? Because you know it's not going to work?
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, there's a lot of articles out too finally saying what we've talked about. Go check when Austin lost Uber and Lyft. And I forgot that it was for an entire year.
Oh, is that how long it was? A year?
Yeah, wow. It was a year, man.
But it's like the boy who cried, right? So yeah, we're gonna pull out. Yeah, we're gonna pull out. Yeah, we're gonna pull out. Yeah, we're gonna until it actually happens. So yeah, okay, we'll just keep pushing it back until you figure it out.
But see, that's where I get a little concerned. What are they even fighting for? Lyft offered them half as much. And they said, we're not negotiating. This is a city council measure and it's passed. Okay, well, if you're not negotiating, what's going on? Because they've said they'll leave. At this point, they have to leave if it's just going to be that amount or nothing. Otherwise, every city's going to say, we want that amount too.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I hate that I have to wait till July now. Damn it.
But Jason, then you'll have to wait till August. So
exactly.
Or
I'll
October.
Be here waiting.
I'm just saying, don't be waiting, people. Anybody in Minneapolis can shout out on this one. If Gagan's still in here, I know he's got something to say, but he doesn't do the rideshare too much. So, but anybody else, if you have something to say, please leave in any of our comments.
How do you do rideshare? Y'all a bunch of bitches.
Well, we all live in crazy towns now, man. I don't know.
I would never.
It's fun. You get people trying to eat nachos
share
in your car at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, man.
I always loved rideshare, man. I think it's fun too.
You get burned out. I can only take in little bits, but
no, thank you.
Yeah, but you did it this weekend, or didn't you last weekend, just to get the bonus?
Yeah, I did 41
kind
rides.
Of thing. Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, that's why you do it.
Did 41 rides.
Like,
strangers. Kim's like 40 strangers.
10 hours.
I don't want to talk to strangers.
I don't want to talk to
people going to restaurants.
I mean,
want them in my car.
It can be fun and can be strange at the same time. Like it can be back-to-back rides of like, this was the best ride I ever had, and then you can have somebody that you think they're gonna shank you in the neck while you're driving them to the next stop.
See, really? Exactly.
It's like the text I sent, Kim. It's questionable.
I'm telling you, I was like this, and I'm trying to drive, and I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, guys, that's our time for tonight. We had other subjects too, but again, go join Dashing Grandpa, because one of the ones we were going to get into is Spark. I know he's probably talking. I just saw that he went live a few minutes ago or something. So go check that out, because I know that's I saw it on his thumbnail, and I'd been talking to him this week. That's his topic for tonight. But thank you all for joining us. Be smart, or be safe, earn smart, and Don't be a dick.
Or don't share one.